and give up all the wild times and jump into the wildfire just to have one more wild night. When you give me this high, I could wait a lifetime just to have one more wild night.
Happy Thursday, it's Morning Coffee, and I'm Rick Alexander. That intro music was by Brittany Taylor. She's at Brittany Taylor with 2 E's and 2 E's on Instagram. I'm at Rick Alexander _ and at the Morning Coffee Podcast. If you want to interact with me, best way to do that is there. Also, we've got the Clarity Academy with the immersion program. So if you're interested in a 3-day intensive weekend, going over the Clarity Academy, which is really a deep dive into self-exploration and figuring out what you want and who you are in life. If you're interested in that, you can go to rickalexander.com and sign up. Registration is open until the end of August. I would love to see you there. Of course, right now we're continuing the series that we're doing based on my journal, which is like, hopefully I would say go back and listen to yesterday's episode, starting with episode 390 and then go on for the backstory. But the idea is that I closed out one of my personal journals, and in that was the most transformational time of my entire life. So I'm going back through and I'm recapping some of the most important lessons. And I forgot this in yesterday's episode, but I always write a note to myself at the very beginning of the journal. Look, I'm weird, okay? So just accept that part of this. But I wrote a note to myself, and it's interesting because I didn't even know what it meant, really. But I wrote, who you are is one thing, but who you'll become is everything. And it's interesting because I see back when I wrote this of me, like, just somewhat scared, right? Like, just had gotten back from Australia. I was sort of like new out of the military. I had a dream that I wanted to really pursue, and I did, but I didn't know if I could really make it happen. And that was a lot of pain in that transformation, a lot of pain in that process of me transcending programming and stepping into who I really am. But if I could say anything to you, it's that, who you are is one thing, who you'll become is everything. But today's question, the thing that I want to ask you is, what do you feel the most inspired by? Now, looking back, this was back in February that I had this note to myself, and I can tell that I was going through Angelo Cisco's Masculine Mastery course at this time, because there's some real deep roots there with his message. And if you guys don't follow him, I would just go ahead and do that, because he's really a wealth of knowledge. One of the people that I look to for advice in this life and wisdom in this life. And there's very few, right? There's about 5. So he's one of them. But the question is, what do you feel most inspired by? And when you think about inspire, I want you to think about the root word, which is, to breathe life into. And so think about that context. Like yesterday we talked about how sort of we go through all of these things that are mundane, right? And we sort of check out and we go on autopilot, whatever. Well, here's the opposite side of that equation is, what are the things in your life that you really feel called to, right? That really, really pull you. I think you could go through your life and you could look at all of the activities, whatever you do from a day-to-day basis, and figure out what is it that drains you. That's what you're forcing, right? Like, what are the things that you're really forcing? You're forcing them because they drain you. Now, the opposite of that is power, and that's what pulls you. One of the things that I learned back in February is that you really have to learn to step into the rhythm of life, right? Like there's not a thing in this life that you could force and have it actually work out. Not a relationship, not a job, not a damn thing, right? And sometimes that's difficult because they're really good opportunities, like really good people, like great humans, right? I think of everyone I've dated is a great human, but they're a great human for someone else now, and that's okay. And same thing with opportunities, right? Like the job that I did in the military, incredible, right? Really it was. And that vision pulled me hard through my 20s. It really did. I really was into it and loved it. But then I got to a point where my growth and the evolution of me as a human and my soul, it was calling for something else. I could just tell I was ready for something else. And then it became, because I didn't leave, right? I had stayed a little bit past that time where I felt like I was ready for something else. Well, then what happened is I began to feel as though I was kind of forcing it. And I was no longer being pulled. And so stepping into the rhythm of life is sort of what it is it's really dispensing with things that you're pushing, dispensing with things that you're forcing, and stepping into things that are pulling you. You want to be in the rhythm. You want to have the wind at your back in this life, because if not, it's aggravating, it's exhaustive, and you don't actually get anywhere. That's something to really know, right? It's like you can force and push, and because it won't work, you're not actually getting anywhere. And so when you think about what inspires you, you got to think too, like, what is it that makes you feel centered? That's one of the things in the Clarity Academy. We really look for activities that make us feel centered, and they make us feel like we are doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing. That's what centered feels like, right? When you are really in alignment with your values and the activities that pull you, it feels like what you're supposed to be doing. And so you could ask yourself, what are the activities that you do that no matter how much energy you author into them, no matter how much you push and how much you work for them, you always leave with more energy? Podcasting, speaking, writing, those things are that for me. So like right now I'm doing podcasts, and then as soon as I finish here, I've got about a 20-minute break, and then I'm going to give a talk. And then as soon as that's up, I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to fly to Colorado, and I'm going to go give that talk again. So actually, when this airs, I will be in the air on my way to Colorado to give that talk. And the thing is, I could give talks all day, every day, truly, and just feel so much energy, so much inspiration, like just ready to create more. And that's what you want to find in life, right? That's when you're stepping into the right place. It's not that the military wasn't a good fit for a lot of people. It's just that it wasn't my thing now, and that's okay. And so we have to be okay with letting parts of our life go that we're sort of dragging along. And that's what happens. You sort of like go around. It's like you go through some emotional stuff and you stuff it in your bag, and then you go through some work-related stuff, and maybe your boss is a dick to you, and so you're like, oh, okay, and you stuff that in your bag. And then you go out to lunch and someone cuts you off, and you're stuffing that around, and you stuff that in your bag, and then you carry that around. You got to start putting this stuff down, right? You got to put the shit down for 2 seconds, and then look around and get back in the flow of your life, get back in the rhythm. Stop fighting against the tide for things, because you don't have to. And it's useless too. It's futile. One of the things, I don't think you can be anything you want in this life. And I know that's controversial, because some people that are in my position do, but I don't. I do not believe you could be anything you want. I think you could force it, but it wouldn't really work, right? Like, I couldn't go be an accountant. Like, no matter what, I just couldn't. That would not be the thing for me. But there's a lot of accountants that I could put in front of this mic, and that wouldn't be for them. The beauty, though, is when you really step into the rhythm and you really start going toward things that you feel called to and that are pulling you, what you find is what you want to be doing is actually what you're supposed to be doing, right? And that's the thing. Like, that deep desire for that thing you've always wanted to do or try. The reason I always talk about that is because I believe it's the key. I believe you've got to find what inspires you. If you don't feel inspired, then that's when you really got to connect with that deep, still voice inside, right? And then ask yourself, like, what could I be doing right now that I'm not? Where do I feel called to? What's pulling me? Go in that direction. Let go of the shit that you're forcing. Let go of the stuff you're going through. Let go of that stuff just so that you can be open to the rhythm and the flow of life. Because what happens is you step into your power, you step into these other things, and man, next thing you know, things that you're looking back at your journal, and it's 6 months later, and you are a completely different human, right? With a completely different outlook on life and business and spirit. And spirit's everything, it's not everything, but it's one thing. It's one thing that matters, that we tend to negate the role of spirit in our lives, and we're going a little longer in this one, so I'm not going to jump into that, but I will tell you that forcing stuff, it really dims the spirit, it really dims the soul. And the other side of that is, as you find activities that inspire you and breathe life into you, even if they're just hobbies, even if they're just 15 minutes to journal in the morning, whatever that is for you, man, it sets your soul on fire. It really does. Like, the expression of you is expanded, and you feel like you can take on more. So ask yourself those questions. What are you forcing? And then what are you inspired by? Let go of what you're forcing, because it isn't going to work anyway. Eventually, you're going to have to. And just go with the rhythm of life. That way, deep down, you will find that the thing you want to do and the thing you should be doing are the same thing. And it's probably the thing that's calling at you right now. I love you guys. Talk tomorrow.
I don't know how to speak. So many versions of me. I've taken ask for the truth, been pushed back in light, and I can't stand still. Maybe I'm broken and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we don't care about it anymore. Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm tall. I can't see beyond today. I can't see beyond today. But tell me there's something beyond today. I need to believe. I try to give back, give up. And I'm losing forgiveness for what I've done. So act like you're weary, act like you're tough. Put up your walls and just pretend it's enough. But you can't stand still. Maybe I'm broken and maybe I'm wrong, maybe we don't cry about it anymore. Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm torn. I can't see beyond today. I can't see beyond today. You tell me there's something beyond today. I need to believe. Yeah. And if the devil wants to hold me down, she'll leave without my blackened soul. And I won't be holding on, and nobody will hold me down. Redemption's for the lost, you said. And you told me you lied. Oh, I need to know if tomorrow comes with new light. 'Cause I can't see beyond today. I can't see beyond today. Tell me there's something beyond today. Yeah, I need to believe. Tell me there's something that I need to believe.